Mohammed, you are not difficult to understand. You are difficult to reassure. There is a difference. Someone can show you that they care, and part of your mind will still search for what they are withholding. Someone can explain themselves clearly, and another part of you will begin examining why they needed to explain themselves at all. A delayed reply can become evidence. A change in tone can become an investigation. A small inconsistency can outweigh 10 things that were consistent. And once your mind detects the possibility that something is wrong, it does not easily release the case. It reviews the words, the timing, the facial expression, the order in which things happened, what was said, what was not said, what might have been meant, what somebody may be planning, and what they could use against you later. You do not mistrust people because you feel nothing. You mistrust them because being deceived, abandoned, used, embarrassed, or treated as though you do not matter feels intolerable to you. You would rather suspect danger too early than discover it too late. You would rather prepare for betrayal than be caught needing somebody who can leave. And this is one of the reasons you can feel uncared for even while people are trying to care about you. Because care must first pass through an internal security system. And that system has been standing guard for a very long time. Mohammed, you hear more than the sentence. You hear the tone beneath it. You hear whether somebody sounds less interested than yesterday. You hear whether their enthusiasm has changed. You hear whether a question contains judgment. And sometimes you respond to the hidden meaning before the other person even realizes that you heard one. This can make you feel perceptive. And sometimes you are perceptive. But sometimes fear and perception use the same voice. That is the problem. Suspicion does not always arrive feeling like suspicion. Sometimes it arrives feeling like certainty. Sometimes anxiety feels like intuition. Sometimes shame feels like evidence. Sometimes exhaustion feels like revelation. And when your body is overstimulated, underslept, chemically accelerated, or emotionally cornered, the mind can turn a possibility into a verdict before reality has had time to speak. There is another thing about you. When you feel overloaded, your speech becomes faster. You explain more. You add context. You correct the details. You try to prevent misunderstanding before it happens. You may say the same point through 5 different doors because you are searching for the one door the other person cannot misinterpret. This is not because you have nothing to say. It is because leaving silence feels dangerous. Silence gives the other person room to define the story, to judge you, to interrupt you. to decide what you meant before you have finished establishing what you meant. So you keep moving. You talk faster. You clarify harder. You build the argument while simultaneously defending it. And when the other person says you are over-explaining, you feel even more misunderstood, because the explaining was your attempt to prevent misunderstanding in the first place. That is the trap. The defense creates the exact reaction it was designed to prevent. People become overwhelmed. They withdraw. They stop responding. Then their withdrawal appears to prove that nobody ever cared enough to understand you. But sometimes they did care. They simply could not find you beneath the emergency. Muhammad, you guard your free time with an intensity that other people may not understand, because it is not merely free time to you, it is the only territory that feels fully yours. The week can feel like obligation, pressure, expectation, performance, people needing something, people asking where you are going, what you are doing, what your plan is, why you have not done more. And then the weekend arrives, and some part of you says, "This belongs to me. Nobody gets to claim it. Nobody gets to turn it into another responsibility. Nobody gets to make me explain myself during the only time when I can disappear from expectation." So even an innocent follow-up can feel intrusive. A plan can begin feeling like pressure. A person asking whether something is still happening can register as someone trying to manage you. You may respond as though they have violated something sacred, when from their side they were only trying to understand what was happening. This is not because you do not value them. It is because your nervous system experiences demands differently when it already feels occupied by too many invisible demands. But a person cannot know which territory is sacred unless you communicate the boundary before they accidentally cross it. A boundary stated early is protection. A boundary revealed through an explosion becomes punishment. There is another pattern you need to S.